So for those of you who don't know, I freaking love Avatar. This show pretty much defined mine and my sister's childhood during the mid-2000s. It was funny, had fantastic action sequences, epic scale storytelling, and some interesting takes on martial arts and East Asian philosophy, all wrapped in one tight package that we now know as Avatar: The Last Airbender. When the idea of a live-action movie came about, a lot of people, including myself, were decently excited, especially after a few really cool trailers that were released to hype up the film itself. And then the movie was released. There pretty much isn't a thing I can really say about the movie that hasn't been said before. It's regarded by many as one of the worst live-action adaptations ever made. It's also regarded as the worst film from writer and director M. Night Shyamalan, and as I've said for myself, the movie is tied with two others as the worst film I have ever seen. So why delay the inevitable? With our good friend Jack in hand, let's dive right in. This is The Last Airbender. So the beginning of the movie actually starts off pretty decently. The visuals almost match up perfectly to the show, and definitely gets us in the mood for how this live action version is going to do. We then cut to the South Pole as we see Katara, played by Nicola Peltz, and Sokka, played by Jackson Rathbone, who I can only assume was brought on because he was in Twilight. We then see them tracking a lion seal, and subsequently get lost.
I watched what side of the fin tracks are more indented, that shows you which direction they're going. I saw how long the drag skids are, that shows you how fast they're going.
And I think we can clearly see why he was in Twilight. He's so monotone that I think George Lucas took over directing.
I watched what side of the fin tracks are more indented, that shows you which direction they're going. I saw how long the drag skids are, that shows you how fast they're going.
Alright, now faster, a little more intense. A large sphere comes up from the ice and breaks open, revealing a young boy named Aang, played by Noah Ringer, and his flying bison, Appa.
Trying to eat me.
Now something of note, in the show, Aang woke up asking to go penguin sledding. We get a beat on his personality, the fact that he's an airbender, and he bounces some fun dialogue off of him. And in the movie he does... well...
nothing! Absolutely nothing!
He's taken back to the Southern Water Tribe, and we get some more middle school level acting.
It wasn't very smart. I was just upset. Thanks for saving me.
Lucky.
I probably should get home. I'll be worried.
You're not still upset?
Not as much as I was.
You know, I should say that I hold nothing against the actors for their performances. This is clearly the product of bad direction. But that being said, the acting in this movie is horrendous.
It wasn't very smart. I was just upset. Thanks for saving me.
Horrible. Horrible.
So we see the Fire Nation arrive to the tribe, as we get our introduction to Prince Zuko, played by Dev Patel. Wait, Dev Patel? Okay, I know the Nostalgia Critic brought this up, but I feel like I should reiterate this. Why the hell did they change the race of so many of the characters? Hell, they pretty much changed the entire race of the Fire Nation, going from what quite clearly was a very Japanese culture to Indian/Middle Eastern. Not to mention the blatant whitewashing of our three main heroes. Anyway, Zuko captures Aang and we get yet another thing that bothers me about this movie, and that's how the firebenders do their bending. In order to bend, they have to have a source of fire with them at all times. Unlike in the show, where they only have to use their chi in order to create and bend fire. So, in the words of Angry Joe, Shyamalan,
You done fucked it up!
He's taken to their ship as we get introduced to yet another character, General Iroh, played by Sean Tubb.
Yes, sir!
What do you want with me?
My nephew wants me to perform a little test on you.
They perform a test in which they place each of the other elements in front of Aang, and they all seem to gravitate towards him, revealing that he is in fact the Avatar. He then escapes the room and has to deal with some soldiers outside. And I will say, even though I give the acting itself a lot of flack, Noah Ringer is an incredible martial artist. And from what I heard, he performed all of his own stunts for the film for all the lengthy fight scenes. The bending itself may take 30 years to do one move, but it's all performed nicely. Katara and Sokka meet up with Aang on Appa, and they travel to the Southern Air Temple.
It's only a model. Shh.
Monkey Yatsu's gonna try and jump out and scare me at any moment. He's the teacher responsible for me. He's kind of like my father.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Aang.
Stop! We're almost 20 minutes into this movie, and only now are you asking for his name? What the hell? Not even that, you traveled what must have been hundreds of miles, and you didn't bother to ask until now? What the fuck is wrong with these morons? You bastards. You stupid bastards. You stupid ass bastards.
You stupid ass, bollock bastard, nipple wank turd.
Aang discovers that the air nomads have been wiped out by the Fire Nation, as we also see one of only a few flashbacks involving Monk Gyatso, who's black for some reason now and cleanly shaved. You know, I already brought up the race thing earlier, let's just continue. He becomes incredibly distraught and goes into the Avatar state, to which he only does this 2 times in the movie, but okay. He then goes into the spirit world, for some reason, and meets a spirit dragon. Now again in the show, the dragon leads him to the spirit of one of his previous incarnations, Avatar Roku, whereas in the movie, it's just a talking dragon.
The Avatar, where have you been?
Okay. Katara eventually calms him down, and we cut to Zuko and Iroh, who are taken in by Commander Zhao, played by Asif Madvi, or as we all lovingly remember him, as Mr. Aziz.
Go! I wanted to thank the great General Iroh, the young Prince Zuko, for dining with us. As you know, the Fire Lord has banished his son, the Prince.
And now you've lost me, Shyamalan. Some of you may be asking, how did he lose you? Well, it was simply by him saying the words, "as you know." And he says it right before revealing a ton of exposition. He does this twice in the movie, even though he just said, "as you know." Well, if they already know, then why the fuck are you saying anything? Think! Zuko and Uncle Iroh leave the ship as we cut to the Southern Earth Kingdom, where Team Avatar has set up camp. And I probably should bring up the name pronunciations at this point.
So, are you the Avatar, Aang?
Practically half of the names of certain characters have a different pronunciation compared to what we know from the show. Why? Well, it's because Shyamalan himself wanted to make the pronunciations culturally correct. So let me get this straight. You did it to the names to make them culturally correct, yet you changed the races of the entire Fire Nation and the main 3 heroes. Shyamalan, are you high? We see a young boy running from the firebenders who he had been bending stones at. And then we cut to possibly the stupidest thing in the entire movie. To give some setup here, in the show, there is a prison specifically made for earthbenders that was made entirely out of metal and was a ship in the middle of the ocean. No earthbending would have been possible on this ship. And would you like to see the earthbending prison here in the movie? Well, you've done it, Shyamalan. You've driven me to drink. What the actual shit were they thinking? Could they not convert a set and make a metal floor? I mean, there's just so many ways around this. And you wanna know what the sad thing is? We're not even 30 minutes into this fucking film! But who gives a shit? We get to finally see some earthbending in this movie. Come on, let's just get this thing started. Okay. What the flying fuck is this? I know that it's supposed to be this guy bending the stone, but by the way everything is framed and shot, it fully makes it look like the ones bending the stone are these 6 jagoffs. There are times to do long takes in a film, but when concerning the action scenes, half of them are Steadicam tracking shots, making them all feel slow and half of the framing feels off. They chase the firebenders out of the village, and as a gift for saving them, even though they could have saved themselves, they give them a waterbending scroll. And there goes the possibility of seeing the pirates in this movie. We then cut to Team Avatar talking about how they're going to traverse the Air King. Duh!
I ran away before they trained me to be the Avatar.
What the fuck is up with that extreme close-up? I feel like Shyamalan wants him to eat the audience. So Aang tells them that he wasn't taught how to bend any of the other elements before he ran away from home, and so they travel to the Northern Water Tribe to find Aang a teacher, and on the way liberate more towns and villages. In the show, this would be around the time that the Kyoshi warriors and Suki would come in, plus a bunch of interesting characters like Boomy and Aang's first firebending teacher. Oh, this actually should be pretty cool then. Wait, what? There's only an hour and 10 minutes left in the movie? What a waste. So we get a montage of them saving some villages, and by villages I mean they only save one village in the whole montage. We then also see that Aang is beginning his waterbending training.
Aang was practicing, but for some reason, he was having trouble with waterbending.
Oh, really? So I guess we're gonna ignore the fact that in the show he picked up waterbending fairly easily. In fact, to the point where even Katara was getting jealous over it. Oh, who am I kidding? They're practically ignoring everything else in the show. So we see Zhao is being called back to the Fire Nation to have a talk with Fire Lord Ozai, played by Cliff Curtis. And while I do think he's a fantastic actor, he's just not that menacing. If anything, he doesn't seem like the Fire Lord, but more like the goddamn Melon Lord.
I am Melon Lord!
Cut to Zuko and Iroh in the Northern Earth Kingdom, having a conversation of what to do next.
You could fall in love here. We could settle down here. And you could have a blessed life.
We then get to hear a bit of Zuko's backstory as to how he was banished and how he got his scar.
He spoke out of turn to a general in defense of some of his friends who are going to be sacrificed in a battle.
Then Prince Zuko was sentenced to an Agni Ki duel.
Agni Kai! I do have to say though, the scene is decently acted, though it definitely helps when you have really talented actors playing these roles, especially Sean Tubb as Iroh, who definitely delivers a great performance in this film. We then cut back to Team Avatar with Aang still struggling with his waterbending. He sneaks off later to go to the Northern Air Temple to hopefully get back in touch with the spirit world. He then comes across a villager from the Earth Kingdom who watches over the temple.
My name is Aang.
I cannot believe I've lived to see your return. I'm an Earth villager, but I visit these temple remains often.
We would later see this villager teach CGI hand farts to his grandson Goku in Dragon Ball Evolution. Man, this guy needs a better agent. He takes him to a room full of statues of previous lives, and it constitutes probably my second most hated scene in this movie. Instead of letting the weight of all his previous lives looking down on him sink in, they just keep talking, pushing out more and more tedious exposition for us to listen to.
There's a ceremony when everyone bows to me. That's when I accept my role as the Avatar. But when everyone bowed, I didn't bow back.
Yeah, is this gonna be on the test? But the villager betrays Aang, and he's captured by General Zhao.
I don't give a shit.
We also see the blue spirit climb into the air temple to free the Avatar, even though Zhao should have probably seen him, but I guess he's blind. He frees Aang, and we get yet another drawn out and overly long fight scene. Now, like I said, I have no problem with long takes if implemented well. But the way that they do them here, along with the constant shifting in and out of slow motion, it just makes everything flow so sluggish. The spirit and Aang are cornered, and the spirit holds Aang hostage to let them go free.
Open the gates. Let them out.
Is it some kind of spirit, Commander?
Not at all. Do it.
Message for you, son.
The blue spirit is hit by the arrow, and Aang removes his mask, revealing that it was Zuko the whole time.
What a twist!
Yeah, there's pretty much no way I wasn't going to include that joke.
You think my son is this person the soldiers are calling the Blue Spirit?
Yes.
And how did they come to this conclusion? How the fuck should I know? Or better yet, why should I even care? You know, I think this calls for more booze. Oh. We cut back to Zuko and Iroh as Zuko goes back onto the ship to get some rest.
Smells like gas.
Ouch!
We then cut to Team Avatar, finally making it to the Northern Water Tribe, and... Ladies and gentlemen, you know it, you've laughed at it, say hello once again to... Penis Hair! My god, it's so phallic that even the Little Mermaid poster is laughing at you. This is Princess Yue, played by Seychelle Gabriel. And believe it or not, she's actually worked in the Avatar universe since this movie came out. She actually played as Asami in The Legend of Korra. But does that save her from terrible direction?
I've loved spending these weeks with you, Sokka.
Me too.
Should we see what the ocean is doing today?
That would be a no. She's just as bland as our 3 slices of Wonder Bread here. And it seems like her and Sokka are about to start a relationship. Oh cool, so how do they kick things off?
My brother and the princess became friends right away.
Fuck you, movie! So Aang finally begins his waterbending training with Discount Theoden over here, and to be honest, the VFX don't look half bad. I know one of the main jokes about this movie is that the CGI is kinda bad, but honestly it gets the job done for the most part. We also see Sokka and Yue try to establish what Shyamalan thinks is chemistry. And how does he do that? Well, with even more exposition, of course.
My hair's white because when I was born, I was not awake. My mother and father could not get me to make a sound or move. So they prayed for days to the moon spirit and dipped me into the sacred waters. My parents said that my hair turned white then and life poured into me.
At least in the show, we got to know both of these characters fairly well over the course of a few episodes. Here, they've only shared barely 4 minutes of screen time together. And this is the inherent problem with the movie. They tried to cram over 20 episodes of a TV show into an hour and 45 minutes, taking out pretty much every ounce of substance or character development that we could get from any one of these people. So now we see Katara and Aang doing Tai Chi, I think. And the Fire Nation arrives as Zuko sneaks in with the help of Iroh.
Now be sure to keep your uniform closed up to your neck. And remember, your chi can warm you.
I know, Uncle.
Aang explains that he has to find a spiritual place in order to get connected again with the spirit world. They lead him to a small garden which houses the moon and ocean spirits, and is left in the care of Katara. Zuko then arrives and promptly knocks her the fuck out. And let's have a look at the judges' score on that. Wow! Straight zeros all the way across! Katara sucks, everyone! Katara sucks! So we cut outside to the wall of the city where we see Discount Theoden muster a war cry that I think even Goofy would call dumb. So the Fire Nation breaks into the city, as we see Zuko and a still passed out Aang, who slips into the spirit world again and talks to the dragon.
Use the ocean. Show them the power of water. Go. Do this now.
So basically just waterbend? Aang wakes up and is chased subsequently around the room by Zuko. Now see, the fight here is actually pretty well done. The choreography is solid, the edits are well timed, and it's well framed. Why couldn't the action be more like this? So Zuko is subsequently frozen by Katara, and Aang goes down to help the city. Katara, Sokka, and Yue, however, split off to follow Iroh and Zhao, as they make their way to the home of the moon and ocean spirits.
There are certain things humankind should not tamper with. The spirits and the spirit world is one of them.
Zhao ends up killing the moon spirit, and this really upsets Iroh as he, holy fucking shit, that is awesome! Come on, Iroh, let's kick some ass!
He's making fire out of nothing.
What? Hey! Hey! Come back here, you pussies! So the moon spirit is dead, but Yue was blessed by the moon spirit when she was young. Therefore, she has the power to revive the spirit, and she does just that, sacrificing herself so that the moon may live. Well, looks like it's time for me to go! Zuko and Zhao are about to face off until Iroh intervenes and leaves Zhao to be taken down by waterbenders. Remember that I told people to go. So Aang gets to the top of the wall, and as the Fire Nation draws more and more into the city, he goes into the Avatar state. Now in the show, he actually turns into a large representation of the moon and ocean spirits, and roams through the city taking out the soldiers, and here, he makes a big wave. Okay then. He scares off the rest of the Fire Nation ships and saves the day. Coming down from the wall, everyone begins to bow, and Aang now takes his place and accepts his role as the Avatar. But before the credits roll, we have a big tease for the sequel that thank fuck will never happen.
Now you must stop the Avatar from mastering earth and fire. You must give us the time to get to that day. Do you accept this unspeakably important task I'm putting in your hand?
I do, Father.
And that was The Last Airbender. Good Christ, it's worse than I remember. The acting, as I said, is dull. The direction is terrible, the writing is awful, and overall it just turns into one mess of a film. Now that being said, I did find a few positives that snuck their way through the shit. Sean Tubb as Iroh and Dev Patel as Zuko give great performances despite the fact that they're given very little to work with. Some of the action scenes are decent, and the visual effects are okay. The sets and costume design are actually fantastic here, and definitely brings the world of Avatar to live action. And quite easily the best part of this movie? The musical score by James Newton Howard. This is without a doubt one of the absolute worst movies I have seen. However, the music is absolute perfection. It's just a shame that it had to go into this horrendous pile of bison shit. Well, that was my review of The Last Airbender. Tune in next time where hopefully it won't take so long to make one of these. See you guys next time.